evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Economic Briefcase program. I'm your host, Luvinda Abazoka. Today with my co-host, Mr. Noah Njapao. So, Njapao, how has been the week?
The week has been tiresome, Doc. How's been yours?
The week has been festive. I think we have started the festive season, preparing, to celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. And during this period, we are more family oriented. And
have you already started the industrial break?
Not yet. We hope management will give us
the go ahead.
The go ahead to go and rest a bit. All week, no play makes is it Jack or Jim? And oh boy, yeah. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing the state of the economy. We have a wonderful guest for you. Before we introduce the guest, as per tradition, let's go and first see what is happening on the money and capital markets. Mr. Njapao, over to you. What's in the markets?
The market update as of today, the 15th of December, 2022. Let's look at how the kwacha is faring against the four major currencies. The dollar closed off selling at 17 kwacha, 59 ngwe. The pound closed off selling at 21 kwacha, 67 ngwe. The euro closed off selling at 18 kwacha, 70 ngwe. The rand closed off selling at 1 kwacha, 2 ngwe. Selected metal prices delayed by a day. Aluminium closed selling at $2,379.50 per ton. Copper closed off selling at $8,415 per ton. Zinc closed selling at $3,277 per ton. Lead closed off selling at $2,147 per ton. Tin closed off selling at $24,275 per ton. Nickel closed off selling at $27,850. Crude oil prices, WTI crude, closed selling at $75.96. Brent crude closed selling at $81.45. We added an extra slide, annual inflation rate. This is showing from November 2022 to from November 2021, I beg your pardon, to November 2022. Okay, so we see the inflation rate of November being at 9.1%. That's an increase compared to last month's.
So we've seen, the reduction in inflation rate. We have also seen, the Zambian kwacha.
It has actually increased slightly for November, from 9.7 to 9.8.
Probably exchange rates post inflation.
Definitely.
I remember 2 months ago, it was 1 kwacha to 80 ngwe to 1 rand.
Yes.
Now today is 1 kwacha.
We are almost at par now.
Yeah, almost at par. So it's I don't know if you are planning to go to South Africa. It might hit the pocket.
And the copper prices, we see compared to last week, the prices have slightly gone down, but at least we're within the 8,000
range.
Yeah, and the kwacha is just slowly depreciating.
We have a guest in the studio today who's going to help us digest quite a number of issues. We are going to discuss the state of the economy. Today with us in the studio, by the way, you can send your messages, text messages on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. We are going to be opening the phone line shortly so that you can also interact with us as we move during the program. There's no football today, so you can watch us on Facebook, DSTV, Topstar. You can watch us on YouTube. You can make sure that you participate by calling, sending messages if you are shy. Today in the studio we have I think the best mayor that we've ever had in the capital city of Lusaka. This person, always greets people in Lusaka, Zambia, and in the diaspora. and I know you know who I'm talking about. He has also served as Deputy Minister of Finance, Commerce also. He has been MP for Matero twice. This person needs no introduction. He's the CEO and founder of Boba TV, and this is no other than Honorable SAMPA. Good evening, Honorable.
Doc.
Good evening, Honorable.
I love that introduction. No, good evening. For the first time,
Yes.
somebody has told me I'm the best mayor while I'm alive. Not when I die. He was the best mayor.
No, I think Lusaka misses.
No, I miss Lusaka as well. Thank you for having me. It's my first time on Camnet, and you've come a long way, and congratulations to the shareholders of Camnet, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Honorable SAMPA, as per tradition, I know you need no introduction, but as per tradition, we know you are a family man, and you are a dedicated and patriotic citizen. A lot of people know you. You are aspiring for the presidency of the Patriotic Front, and consequently also the president of the Republic of Zambia. You are almost president in 2015.
Sembe.
Sembe.
I'm a supporter for Sito of Lusaka. Sembe.
Sembe, in 2015. So there are probably millions of those that are, just becoming 18 years that do not know you. Who is SAMPA?
Yes, before I even lose this thought, Doc, today is a special day for mayors that have been in Lusaka. We have Patrick Kangwa being confirmed today, ratified as the Secretary to Cabinet. To me, it's very good. I said this in Parliament because he was once mayor of Lusaka. And if anyone survived, as I said in Parliament today, anyone who survived as mayor of Lusaka, they can survive anywhere. Like they say also, anyone who survived in Matero, you can survive in any situation. So it's a class of certain people that survived the mayorship of Lusaka. It's not easy. If you can do that job even for 1 year, then there's no job you can fail, because the job that you get, there's so much demand and minimal resources. Pick up garbage, but there's no money for fuel. You don't know where the money goes. It's stuck in the markets or bus station. So there's a class of those who made it as mayor, and I know him, so that he's made it. It's good for mayors. Congratulations to him. Secretary, he's been acting for so long. Even when I thought he should have made it, he was very patient and just doing his work as number 2 for the last 10 years at Cabinet. So he's made it. Congratulations to him. Other mayors I know is, Fisho Mwale, Mulenga Sata, Daniel Chisenga, Arabi, the late president, may so rest in peace, he was mayor of Lusaka. King Cobra Michael Sata, he was mayor of Lusaka. So it's a job that, it's a panel beating job, and it panel beats everyone there to become better. But you asked the question, who is SAMPA? Simple, born in Matero, and whose father died when he was 9, and there were 10 in the family, and the mother had no means to take care of all the children. She started selling at the market, selling rape. That's why you saw me. I can easily make rape bunches and sell cabbage. You would sit in the vegetable stand to sell on our behalf. But then we made it through school. We started suffering because we had no breadwinner. I was going to school barefoot, wearing a tie. KK's, those days, primary school uniforms. It was a safari with a red tie at Matero Primary School. But then if you have no shoe, can you imagine wearing a tie? I remember that so well. And then because the uniform, your parents, my mom couldn't change it every year. So I'd have the same pair of trousers for shorts, actually, khaki shorts, for 3 years. So it would have Magamba in the back. So that's the beginning. But from there I learned to fight. And through school, only through school, I learned to excel. And it was tough. And as it is grade 7, I didn't make it. Because I was busy, My name is SAMPA, and I was in the same class with my brother. So during exam time, because the teacher said, don't show your next person, hide your answers. So the entire exam I kept hiding from my brother, just so that he doesn't copy from me. And in the process, I failed, he failed. But then that just shook me up. I was in my house for a month hiding, not even playing because I'd failed. But Doc, since then, I excelled through school, went through university, went to school in Kalomo. One of my sisters got married in Kalomo to a teacher at a school. So I went there, and that's how come 5 years there. I picked up Tonga, learned to the university, and since then I've done a master's in South Africa. I've also learned through school to put myself there. I went to Harvard, did an executive leadership course for a month, a certificate. I went to Oxford, just trying to get involved and switch myself on. And now I'm doing my PhD at University of Lusaka. So I'm housed purely because of school, but in between I've done a lot of other things.
You also speak Russian.
Dobra vucha. Kak dila. Yes, I do. I bypassed one stage because at high school in Kalomo, at Namyanga Secondary, I had the best scores. Those days, 13 was a very good result.
Very good, yes.
Now I see these chaps, the chaps, they get 6 points.
Yes.
So, I don't know if at Material University they even get 5 points out of 6 subjects. But yeah, 13 was good at the time, and the government offered me a scholarship. Those days, bursaries, they would call you and say, you had good grades, you have a bursaries, you are going to Russia. So that's how I went to Russia, spent 3 months there, but that was during perestroika, when things were bad. We started queuing up for food and bread. I said, I might as well go back to Zambia. I knew I had a place at Unza, so sold my clothes to my lecturers, everything I had, and came back to the university, and I've never regretted that I got my first degree from Unza.
Looking at now, coming back to Zambia, how will you characterize the state of Zambia's economy today?
Well, where we are, Doc, we are now about a year, 2-3 months after the UPND took over. They came with very good promises. The story they told, very good. BWALYA will fix it. Who doesn't want their problem fixed? And the youths went for them, and they were good on social media. And I remember when President HH, then in opposition, just make a post. Within 2 minutes, it will have 5,000, 10,000 likes and comments. And the others, he said, it's just on social media. But you know what? The youths bought into the story. The youths in Zambia, about 65% of the population, if not 70. And the youths are non-tribal. The youths are non-cultural. The old folks, the episode that's going away, they like, and I'm in the middle, they like to talk about politics, about tribe, about provinces. The youths that we have in Zambia, they don't care which province they come from or which tribe they are. They just, what is the situation? Are you telling them a good story? So the UPND and President Opposition Leader HH told a good story. We'll give you jobs. The exchange rate will pick up within 24 hours. There will be no load shedding. You'll be eating pizza just to spice it. So told a good story, and the youths bought into it. And guess what? They woke up at 4 a.m. and gave President HH and UPND a massive vote. And PF and Edgar Lungu lost. Now the trouble with the youths, what you promise, you have to deliver. And they started counting. You said exchange rate in 24 hours. It's still depreciated. You said you give us jobs, like the graduates that one wanted to vote in a gown. 1 month passed, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, no job. All the youths. So where we are now, nothing much has changed. And the youths have said, you guys are liars, UPND. You promised, you're not delivering. I think the UPN, if they're listening, they'll be saying, but you promised Wi-Fi. Yes, it's a lesson. At least I promised one thing, and due to force majeure, circumstances beyond my control, I couldn't deliver. It was up to me. But there are other things we did good as mayor. Ubuntu, helping people were valuable. So it's a lesson. But then the UPND, also the goodness or badness, advantage and disadvantage of social media. Now we post, boom, boom, boom. The load shedding is bad. When we win, there will be no load shedding. So now I've seen there will be load shedding has gone up, level 6, or whichever level it is. People have just gone to 2020 when President HH posted, load shedding is bad. When we come into power, there will be no load shedding. So social media keeps records. Even if you delete, others have already grabbed screenshot. You ask the question, status of the economy.
Before maybe you go to the status of the economy, they would also argue that they added about 41,000 civil servants to the government payroll.
That's the problem in itself. That's the problem in itself. I know Doc is a doctor in economics. I'm a graduate of agriculture economics, but my life is about finances, and I understand a bit of economics. You don't create jobs by, as government, you don't create jobs by creating jobs yourself. Okay? That's not the job of government. Give and take, you have about 5 million youths unemployed. So will government employ all those youths? So all this advertising, employing them as enumerators for census, so what? Then after 3 months, those people are unemployed again. And you attract them as Zambia police. How many can you employ per year? Let's assume 50,000. Soldiers, 50,000. And beyond that, they're increasing their wage bill. Where is the money going to come from? Even the nurses, fine, they employ, but government is supposed to create an enabling environment to promote private enterprises, to employ the youths. So give business houses the platform. Find a way empowering the youth so that the youths can go and employ other people. So that employment you mentioning of government creating jobs is a fallacy. It's not sustainable. So after they employ them, how will they pay them next year? If anything, most of the employments they are creating, it's from borrowed money. Some from the IMF and elsewhere. You employ people, you borrow to pay them. They will not show you where the money to pay all those jobs they have forced on themselves will come from. Where is the new money coming from? I've seen in the budget of last year and this year, I can't see new money. New money means what new innovation have they brought up to bring new money? If anything, they are giving back the money through mineral royalty. They've given back about $1 billion to Kansanshi mine through mineral royalty tax and the other mines in the last 1 year. They adjust it, and end result is about $1 billion instead of coming to government, so they can use it for other things to help the poor people, hospitals and schools. They give it back to the mines. And even in this next budget, they are fidgeting with mineral royalty tax. Ultimately, about $300,000 will be lost. The mines won't pay. So that's where we are. So those jobs are fake jobs. Fine, they are good jobs, but they are not sustainable. It's not government's job to create jobs. Government's job is to create an enabling environment for all citizens to be empowered so that they employ other people, the private sector.
I read one thing you mentioned apart on your Facebook page over the presidential jet. That this is a scandal in the making. What's the situation around the jet?
Most unfortunate, I think our colleagues, when they've come in power, their focus is to find a thief, to do audit. You just look to find the thief. You get in a new house, all you're looking for is the thief. Fine. I'm actually chairman of APNAC, Africa Parliamentarians Against Corruption. I'm against corruption because it leads to poverty for the public and the citizens if their money is abused. So when they come in, if they suspect there's corruption in any transaction, by all means, pursue that case and take them to court, get them, find them guilty. But so far, they take people, and some cases are coming out, no conviction. So either the cases were perceived when fake, or maybe they just themselves are not prosecuting the cases. I want somebody found guilty, anybody who is corrupt. I am not, but anybody who is corrupt, if you're really guilty, find them guilty. But so far they have not found anybody guilty. And their fight on corruption now looks like it's just a witch hunt. So on the jet, the president made the promise that when he comes into power, he will sell the jet and use the money to pay students' allowances. I would like to believe that was just campaign talk. When you get into power, you have to decipher, of all we promised, what can we deliver? Or what can we say, okay, we said this, now after we've come into the house, into government coffers, government offices, I think the situation is like this. So this one will not deliver. Tell the citizens, they will understand. On the jet dock, I have been privileged in my life to travel with presidents. I've flown on a plane to Kasama with President Lungu, the ZAF plane. I've flown with President Sata in the Challenger. I've also flown on a presidential trip when President Sata would travel to the UN, because the minister then, Alexander Chikwanda of Finance, I was his deputy, may so rest in peace. He didn't like traveling, so he put me on the trip. So I traveled with President Sata to New York at the UN. I traveled with President Sata to Japan. And then I went commercial. So you go and advance, and then they come. But then with that, I learned that traveling with a president on commercial is tedious and it's high risk. One, if that plane is hijacked, your president is hijacked also. And if they said to release your president, remove $2 million as a country, what will you do? You will remove it. So trying to save costs doesn't come in. And then I remember when we were at the UN with President Sata and other ministers, one morning, presidents have this thing, they visit each other. So it took us to go and say hello to President Mugabe, may he so rest in peace. So we went to the hotel, I think they were in the same hotel. So we went and introducing us, they had the chat, and we left. But then next day, we just got to learn, no, Mugabe has left. He didn't like the speech that was given by whoever president it was. I think it was Obama at the time. So he decided, he just woke up and left. Why? Because at JFK Airport, the Zimbabwe plane, his presidential plane, Zimbabwe Airline, was there, parked. So if he chooses to leave, he's upset. He just tells the pilot, let's go, and he takes off. Now, the way our president travels is in New York now. If today, for whatever reasons, he decides, or back home there's an emergency, flood, or whatever, he decides to come back, he can't. He has to wait for his flight, whichever flight he uses, if it's Emirates, tomorrow night. And also with this COVID, he's in the plane with many others at the airport, and in the plane, we're exposing our president. So that Gulf plane was specific for president. The Challenger was not ideal because it's a small plane, has a small tank. To go to London, you would need to stop in Nigeria or in Ethiopia, refuel and go. To go to America, it went once. They would stop, refuel in Ethiopia, then fly to Ireland, refuel there, then fly to New York, refuel, and go to Washington, stopping over. And you know, stopping over a president, it is a security issue. The president of that country has to know, the OP has to authorize you. It's tedious. The Gulf Stream is a bigger engine and a bigger tank. The president can be able to fly, I stand to be corrected, all the way to New York, maybe just one stop. Or all the way from New York, if he decides to leave today, he could fly into Africa. And also they put security measures. The president is the president. If a president, the plane has a problem or security issue, we should never compromise the security of the president. Today it's President HH, tomorrow may be President somebody else, but that vehicle for the president has to be bulletproof, has to be missile-proof. I don't know the detail, but we are told that it's state-of-the-art protection for a president. So there is no price for the security of the president. It can even cost more if the security of our president is jeopardized. In buying that plane, if there was any corruption, as they allege, they should take those people they think did that to the court and get them prosecuted. But then, today in Parliament, the defense minister said his statement. He said the plane, Doc, I'll finish now. The plane, he says, roughly to make it simple to the viewers, he said the market value for the plane is $100 million. And then he said the PF bought it at $200 million. The top 100, he said, is commission, they ate the money. So because of that, that plane, they want to sell it. The question that begs an answer is, so when they go and sell it, will they sell it at this 200 million, or they'll sell it at this? Chances they'll sell it at here. How do we know? Maybe they'll sell it at here, and the difference they pocket. So even them trying to sell it is just going to be messy. And they say they'll sell it and then buy another one. So they'll sell it and buy one that doesn't have eco security measures. So it's a risk. Presidency is not about Edgar Lungu, it's not about SATA, it's not about President HH, it's not about the president that will come in from PF in 2026. It's about the office of President of Zambia. It's irrelevant who occupies that office, but the system should have protection. Ground transport, it's protected. Those Mercedes-Benz, they are armor, they are bulletproof. The plane also is bulletproof. A missile cannot attack it. If a missile is coming to detect it and swerve, it's proper aircraft for a president. The State House is not for SATA or Edgar or Chiluba or HH. State House was built for a president of Zambia at any time. That's why there are security features there. So that Gulf Stream is unfortunate. If they sell it, I said in Parliament today, in 2026, we'll be seeing some people going to anti-corruption over the sale of that same plane. We'll ask them how much they sold it. If it's worth, they are saying it's worth 200 million. And they're saying the market is 100. So how do we know where they'll sell it? Ideally, they should sell it.
At the market value.
Which is what?
100.
Then if it's valued, the Zambia spent 200, we'll lose 100 million. So why do it? You might as well keep it.
Earlier, you mentioned about how the current government is playing with mineral royalty. What are your comments on the conversion of the dividends to is it lifetime royalty by ZCCM?
Yes, when I was Deputy Minister of Finance, I dealt with Kansanshi. Kansanshi had an expatriate who would come to my office every month from London just to talk about tax, how to make sure they don't pay tax. The mines don't like to pay tax. And then dividends means that we have shares. So when profit is made, as shareholder, we're supposed to share some of that money. But they do transfer pricing. They don't like to declare profit, so they don't pay anything. Businessmen and investors, by nature, they are greedy. You find that all people who make too much money, billionaires, the more you're a billionaire, the more they become greedy. They don't like to give anyone something free. To them, giving a government tax is giving Zambia free money. So I don't know how they've done it effectively under Kansanshi. Instead of us getting that profit, when they make a profit, we get our share. They have agreed now to say, you give up that, whatever profit is made is none of your business, so don't check our books, what we sell, what profit we make. You get mineral royalty tax. So when we dig the copper and sell it, the percentage of what we send out, a fixed percentage, is what you get. But that's the thing you see with old folks, Doc. With old folks, Doc, they are stuck in their own ways. Dr. Msokotwane is stuck in the old school. With mineral royalty, if I was First Quantum or Kansanshi, all they would do, they'll dig the copper and stockpile it. Don't export it. They just dig it, put it on the side. The oil, assume the oil, they don't export it. That means they don't pay tax. But what will they eat themselves, the shareholders? They'll just go to a bank. We've got so much tonnage at Kansanshi. It's so much mountain. It's worth so much. Give us 500 million, because that tonnage there is worth 2 billion. Then they'll be making money, but Zambia will not. So what we needed is a hybrid. You need to be getting some money from profit when they make, you get as dividends. Mineral royalty you get. In some other countries, I saw in Panama, you even put a minimum. And if the price go up, it's also a ratio. So it has to be a hybrid of how you collect tax from the mine. That's why PF even went a step further. You needed to have some ownership. So they wanted to own more pani so that the other people cannot lie. You compare what's going on the international market.
Didn't the same negotiations start under PF, the current pronouncement?
You see, that's neither here nor there. There is a lot of discussions that went on under PF to look at what is the best way. One way was, instead of getting anything from the mine, we just tell them we don't want dividends, we don't want mineral royalty, but whatever copper you dig, let's assume they dig 100 metric tons, then we say out of that, give us 20%, give us 20 metric tons. Gives that CMIHH, the actual copper. What we do with it is up to Zambia. We can stockpile it also, we can sell it. They refuse. So there were a lot of alternatives. What was discussed was on the table, but Dr. Msokotwane and the UPND have decided to pick on that one that gives up shares. When you give up shares, you don't own the company. That means us, when Dr. Msokotwane passes on, goes to God, Doc also goes to God, we all die one day. Our grandchildren will not find any shares in Kansanshi. It will not be their company. That's the importance of keeping shares for our future generation to find those shares.
So technically it's not a win-win situation. One, if they don't declare profits, you don't get your dividends. Second, if they stockpile it, you don't get royalties. So
then as Zambia, we shouldn't put our eggs in one basket. We shouldn't put it on dividends or mineral royalty. We should have something in dividends or in mineral royalty. It's hybrid. We should have something everywhere.
You are watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV, and at this particular point, I would like to open the phone lines. You can call us on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. You can also send us text messages. Director, let's see if we have any messages.
I see, Doc, you'd rather be the one answering.
Good evening, Honorable SAMPA. We have been in politics for some time now. You have been in politics for some time now. What is your experience in social media and its impact on Zambian politics today? Do you believe in youth driving the change agenda of our party and the nation? DJ Sakala from Kabwe.
Should I answer it?
I think we should answer that one.
Okay. I believe in the youths. The future of Zambia, the future of Africa lies in the youths. That's why you mentioned earlier on there's many candidates that have applied to be PF president. I think what I bring to the table is that I have a link with the youths. When I was mayor, I deliberately reached out to the youths, even the children. And sometimes you'd see me, that's how Boba was even born. How do you help the youths if you can't interact with them? I grew up on the background of when your father walks in, you run away, you go to the bedroom. When your uncle comes, and I went to stay with my uncles. When he comes back from work, when he sees you, all he feels like he's slapping you. You haven't even done anything.
Everyone pretends to be sleeping.
Yeah. So that relationship of the old folks looking down on the children and the youths, as mayor, I deliberately went out. You saw me dancing with the children, the youths. Others even used that against me. No, he's immature. He's like a child. No, I'm not. I just deliberately acted like that to understand the youths, because to help the youths, they shouldn't fear you. So I reduced myself to their level, and now we interact well, and I've learned and understood well. When I want to be a diplomat, you wouldn't know me when I'm in South Africa, the Pan-African Parliament. I look like a diplomat. When I meet presidents, I act like them. When I meet businessmen, I interact like businessmen. Now, that question on social media with the youths, times have changed. I remember with President Sata doing politics around 2003, 2004, at this track, Leyland. And then once he used it as a platform, you get on top and put the mic to address the rally. So after that, each time we would have a rally, it would call even 5 a.m. when he wakes up. We have a rally in Kanyama, on the teleco podium platform, DAS, he used to call it. On the demo DAS, you know, I would arrange my Leyland, you'd go there and you'd be on top. And then the people would come and then they would speak, Pawato, Pawato, and speak to the people. Those were the days of rallies. You call them, speak to them, they listen, they go, the old folks. That era has gone. Try in Kablonga, putting up a Leyland DAS, and start saying there is a rally, the youth of Kablonga come to the rally. There will be nobody, they won't come. Times have changed. Now the rally is on social media. And actually the rally and campaigns is now 24 hours. You communicate with them. When I post, I read and I see the comments as mayor, even as MP, and I pick up, actually I concentrate on the negatives. I see the kudos, the praise, the people commending me, I browse through. But when I see somebody say something, first I look, is this real or this one is just hating? But from there you learn and you respond. So social media is the new rally, is the new way to campaign anywhere in the world. Even this TV we are watching, times will change. People will have no time to watch TV. Like in Japan, I'm told, the TV will be on the phone. Everything will be on the phone. So social media is on the phone, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Nobody will have time to go and sit and watch ZNBC News on this TV. With time, TV will be relevant, everything will be here. So times have changed. Nobody has time to have a physical interaction. I have a lot of people call me, a strange number, I need to see you, where are you calling from? Chazanga, or I'm calling from Kanyama. A lot of people call me. Some still think I'm mayor of Lusaka. So they call me and you ask me, don't you know MP? No, we don't. We have this problem. But then I tell them, what's the problem? Tell me. No, can I meet you in person? Then I tell them, learn to change with the times. Tell me on the phone or text me. Maybe I can help you right on the phone. And meeting physically, the world is moving fast. It's quite impractical. So to answer the question there, social media, others used to attack me. Maoz is just on social media as mayor. But there it is. When we all stood in Lusaka, me, I won landslide. My colleagues in the other constituencies of Lusaka City didn't make it. But because partly because I was on social media.
So you're vying for top office in PF, which is costing about 200,000. What new things, especially when it comes to the manifesto, do you propose you do different when you get that top seat and the Patriotic Front?
Not when I get, when I will get. I'm very confident I'll get it. I've never lost elections in my life. it's because, unless they are rigged, but it's because I can survey and see, and I don't intend to start now. First of all, we had President Sata, he did his part, built PF. We had President Lungu, did 10 years, built PF. PF is an institution. It's not even a club. There's a difference now with the current constitution. Political parties are an institution. They're like a company. They are not about individuals. What will I do different? I think I have the heart for the party, and the membership countrywide in all districts, in all constituencies, in all wards, they are intact. Our friends, the UPND, did something good for us, PF. When they won, you have those doubting Thomases and weak, sort of those who are not strong supporters. They quickly tried to run to UPND to join. Instead of welcoming them, UPND closed the door. We don't want you, PF. Stay where you are. We want to be alone. So they also just sat. So now after a year, wherever we go, our members are there. I went to Mazabuka over weekend. One phone call, the members are there. So we are intact, and most of them, we suffered with them, with PF, in opposition, and even...
so we have our first call. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello.
Hello. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, how are you, Honorable SAMPA?
How are you, sir? Me, I'm very fine.
Sure. My question is, since you see a lot of lacunas in the economy, now, what are the new forms which you feel this government put in place so that this economy improves? Because we might be looking like, this economy is going down and where. So what are your key areas where you feel this government should touch so that our economy improves?
Thank you.
Sure. This is Laston Chio calling from Chingola.
Okay, thank you, Laston.
Sure.
Thank you, Laston Chidwa, all the way from Chingola, the heart of KCM, where people are struggling there because this government has failed to make a decision on KCM. They said when they come into power, they'll give back that mine to the owners, the vendetta. I personally, is that 1 year they've done nothing. They've not given it back to the previous owners who they condemned PF for having repossessed. Maybe now they agree with PF, but they promised that they'll give Vedanta. For whatever reason, they said PF did a bad thing, so they were meant to give them, they didn't. Whichever it is, they're just watching KCM go. And you know, a mine, the more you don't put in capital, the more it gets worse. That mine now is flooded underground and there's no production. I'm told it's losing something like $1 million a day, every day. So even today, we lost 1 million at KCM because this government hasn't made a decision to give it to the previous owners. We know the case is in court, and they told us, no, they've removed it from court. They are talking, but then the year is ending. They are not acting. What would I do different, or what are we telling the UPND government to do under President HH? Is to punch. They are not punching. It's 1 year. They keep talking and talking instead of punching. Leadership is about making decisions and punching. Do what you have to do. I'm even surprised, you know, after 1 year, President HH Doc has not fired anybody. Leadership, what's the sign of being a president? Or what is the sign that you're in power? It's when you control the police and you control the army, and everyone fears them. And when everyone fears them, it means you are the ones who has power. That's why we respect them. Because otherwise, those guys can arrest you, or they can beat you up like they beat Tayari or whatever. So because of that, we all fear. They control the guns. That's power. Okay, elsewhere in Africa or Zambia, you get it by the ballot. In other countries, they get it by coup d'etat, but that doesn't happen in Zambia. It will never happen. It's the people, the youths, that put the vote. So what they are not doing is they are not acting. They are still in the mood like they are in the campaigns. Even today in Parliament, when all the ministers stand up, Dr. Msokotwani and the others, they talk about PF, did this, PF, they're still talking about PF. You know, I'll give this an example. You get a girlfriend, and you keep talking about her ex. If her ex was Thomas, you keep saying, Thomas this, Thomas that, Thomas that, down the line. Even when you should get busy with her, you keep saying, Thomas, Thomas. Perhaps how would she forget about Thomas? Then she will even say, Thomas is even better. You see her going back to Thomas. That's what has happened, because this government is still in the campaign mode. What would we do different? Make decisions. Give back on KCM, on Mopani, capitalize it, do what you have to do. They say in politics or in leadership, make a decision. Even if it's a bad decision, at least make it. That's one thing I miss about President Sata. Sata used to make decisions, pam, pam, pam. Whether it's a good decision or not, you remain analyzing. But you give him a situation, he'll make a decision, pick up a phone call and tell, do this, do that. I would go in his office and complain. This and that at UNZA, or this and that at Bank of Zambia, pick up the phone call. Imwe, do this and that now. Boom. Finished. Secretary, type this letter. Instant. Some decision very good, some not. You would make decision. But what we're seeing from President HH, zero decision. And I was telling you, 1 year, he has not fired anybody in the cabinet. Does it mean all ministers are working? The people will tell us not all of them are working. Maybe 5% of them are. And why isn't he firing them? So is he a president who can't punch? Even a football coach, if the players are not playing, we've seen this is World Cup, substitute. Even if it's Ronaldo, we've seen Ronaldo substituted or put on the bench. So that part the president hasn't done, which is most unfortunate. He should do that to show us he's president, show us he's in control. People are not working, he should fire, and there's a lot of MPs in his party. Replace them. If they are not working, also fire them. So that's one thing. The last point would do different, and this is very important, Doc, because you are a doc of economics. In running a country, government spending is very important. If you don't spend as government, you starve the economy. There's no money in circulation because the European government is not spending. It's one thing being stingy with money that is yours, but it's another thing being stingy with government money. That's called the Keynesian theory, Doc, is it? Keynesian, a long time ago, it's been approved world over. Government has to take its money and spend it in the economy. Hire contractors to do road, hire this and that person to do this and that, because when government pays those people will pay other people, and the money will be in circulation. Now they've said they've taken the money, put it under CDF, but they don't release the money. The CDF we're launching now was from PF. The money we've done, recommended roads, 6 months down the line, like in Matero, the Zingarume Road, we are waiting for them to procure. Point is, they are not spending government money. I gave an example how in England, one president or one mayor, when they hire companies to go and fix the roads, like Cairo Road, and then next day it's done, so there's no reason for government to spend money. What would they do in the night? Government workers will go and dig the potholes again, just so that they give a contract to a company, so that money keeps rolling. So this government doesn't want to spend the money. It's not their money, it's government money, public money. They're not spending it. And if they don't spend, nobody makes money, everybody has no money. Everybody, do you have money? Doc, maybe if you think now, Mupia, I receive calls non-stop everywhere. Everyone is broke. Reason is because this government is not spending money to contract people.
We have another caller. Yes, your name and where you're calling from? Your name and where you're calling from? Sorry, we can't hear you that. But you can still call back. We'll be able to pick up your call. Directly, let's check some messages. Good evening, Dr. and Honorable SAMPA, Mr. Japao. I'd like to hear from you, Honorable, your take on the plight of miners on the Copper Belt vis-a-vis Mopani and KTM. What is the way forward? Emmanuel Miti from Freya. Good evening, Honorable SAMPA. What's your take on government proposal to bring finished petroleum products through Tazama pipeline? Is it tenable? Honorable SAMPA, does government through ZCMIHC has 20% stake in Kansanshi mine or converted it to 3.1% payment? Is this privatization in these guys?
Kansanshi.
Kansanshi.
Privatization. Let me start with the same Kansanshi and privatization. Essentially what government has done is it's sold Kansanshi to the Pascal. You know, Kansanshi mine and First Quantum and Lumwana is owned by First Quantum, which is listed in Canada. And the major shareholders are the Pascal brothers, Pasco. In vernacular, we'll say Pasco. Philip Pasco and the brother. They may even say they are Zambians, but these are the guys that have crippled the UPND government. They've captured, as far as I'm concerned, they've captured the presidency, they've captured the finance minister, they've captured the mines minister, they've hijacked the agenda of UPND. In South Africa, we had the Gupta family, the Indians, who had hijacked President Zuma. And he couldn't do anything, his government. They would need to go and consult the Guptas. And they would go to a finance minister or mines and say, do this, reduce tax. And if the finance minister doesn't, they'll go tell the president, fire him, and replace him with this other puppet. That's where we are going with the Pascal. So we had the Gupta gate in South Africa. That's what saw President Zuma go out. And if President HH is not careful on UPND, in Zambia now we have the Pascal gates, these two brothers, businessmen that are imposing the tax regime on the mines. So they own Kansanshi mine. Zambia through ZCMIH own 20%. They have dictated, taken that 20%. Essentially, we have sold the mine to them. That's privatization revisited or rebranded, privatization rebranded. So that mine essentially used to be owned by Zambia. Now it's owned by the Pascal brothers 100% if they do what they are saying they are doing. We will have no say. They can now even go and sell it somewhere else. It's gone with that route. So this is privatization revisited. And this is a timely warning. 1 year down the line, UPND needs to watch out for the capture, state capture by the Pascal brothers who own Kansanshi and First Quantum. On fuel, finished fuel from Tanzania, don't change what is working. The fuel there has been commingled. Commingled means it's brought in, not fully completed. So there's a bit of diesel, there's a bit of petrol, it's mixed. And it goes to Tazama, and then it's refined there for resale. Because it comes all the way from Dar es Salaam, into Nakonde, to Mpika, Serenje, Kabwe, to Kapiri. Now, if you make it finished products, like happens in Nigeria, somebody there in Mpika or in Nakonde, they just go and puncture the tank and start siphoning complete diesel and go and resell. And we've seen accidents. A small matchstick, the whole thing explodes and people die. So that's highly risky. They'll be losing a lot of money. So it's not a good idea. Emmanuel Miti from Mufulira, I spoke about KCM and Mopani. If the government is not making a decision on Mopani, they should make a decision. Get private investors. On KCM, give it to the previous owners, because even to find, if the case is in court, which is shorter, give it to the previous owners, because you can't sell it, because the matter is in court. And for the court cases, there's a court case in London, court case in South Africa and Zambia. If all of them have to finish, it's another 3 years. So the shortest and fastest route, embrace them as you promised in your campaign, so that money is injected in KCM and Mopani over $1 billion. Then all the people in Mufurila, Chingola, Kitwe, Karulushi, Chambeshi, Luansha, you see Andola, you see their livelihoods go up, because money will start flowing, because all the suppliers will be paid, people will be employed, and money will be circulating. We'll start seeing the Jerabos back in Osaka. Now we don't see them, because KCM and Mopani is on standstill.
Okay. Then you mentioned about there was the issue of Mopani KCM, and there was the issue of FQM. There was another one. The few who have mentioned that. Let's move to FISIP. I know your constituency is not rural, but FISIP is quite an interesting topic at the moment. Before we touch FISIP, let's listen to our caller. Yes, Farafebe.
We are very much interested in this program with
Yes.
Yeah, then I'm going to use the language. I have the language.
I want to understand
Landeni muchiremba mayo, landeni ofyo mayo mfo. I think if I got her right, she's concerned that those who were empowered under President Lungu, where are they? I think there were many, and I think if we have to summarize President Lungu, government was spending. You had individuals who became wealthy, rightly so. We should not be apologetic when a Zambian becomes wealthy. For a moment, let's forget about corruption. We cannot operate a country thinking everyone who makes money is corrupt. Then no one will ever have money. If there's corruption, that particular person should be arrested and taken to court. Now let's assume people were empowered properly, given opportunities. Then those employed other people. Now those people are doing badly, obviously, because there's no more business from government. It's not spending. Not even from UPND. Who under UPND has been made rich? There's nothing wrong with making anyone rich. First you make a Zambian rich, then they'll make another Zambian rich. But under UPND, who? If anything, the people under UPND, majority of them are even starving. Westerners who are in opposition because there's no money. Now, under UPND, the route they have taken, I don't know where they got that from, but they came with this theory that put money under CDF, then you are empowering people. CDF MP's office only has 2 employees, 2 secretaries. And how would they do everything? Even the cooperatives. This cooperative, by the way, Doc, you're an economist. Nowhere in the world does cooperatives worked. At least not in town. We had the cooperative bank. Remember, Lima Bank and the Zambia ZCFU cooperative, Chakuti and the cooperative bank, they all went defunct. Also, I don't know why, but cooperatives in Zambia have just not worked. In rural areas, maybe. So if you get people in Kabulonga, people in Munali or Matero, you tell them, 20 of you, we have given you, or 30 of you, form a cooperative. After 1 year, you give them 20,000, do your chicken. And in Matero, we gave a lot of them, about 150 cooperatives, average of 19,000. Some brought, they'll be doing chicken, some vegetables, some tailoring, some blocks, whatever the proposal they came. We're getting reports, even in the Copper Belt and Lusaka, most of them actually attempted, when the money went in their account, they thought it's just for sharing. So that approach, it's a slow process. You give 30 people 20,000 kwacha to start a business, whatever business, how will it work? They'll spend time arguing. Maybe if I was the one in charge, I'd give each one 20. You go and do your business. But if you don't make it, we'll take you to, we'll reprimand you, or if you abuse the money, you alone will take you to the police. The person owns that money and goes and does the business, they make it and they repay. Now you bring too many people. The member said, so you put them in a cooperative, they will spend time arguing on that little capital. So yes, bali poka wa cooperatives bamayo, but bengi mu cooperative, I'm sure balelu afye. Na 5 years ikapira momo mwini.
I was talking about fertilizer.
FISIP, most unfortunate, I was following under the go at my Mbuya Minister, Honorable Mutoro Piri. I think when he came in, what this government has done wrong, you know, when you take over a government, you should give transition. That's how in other countries like America and elsewhere, when they elect a president, they give them 3 to 6 months, just handover process. So the ones going out, they explain how they were doing. Now, this here in Zambia, you lose, tomorrow is the president and new ministers, and then they think when they come in is to change everything. So at agriculture under FISIP, they came in with accusation. They said only PF people are in FISIP. So they came with a mind to remove some people from FISIP and put people they thought are UPND or UPND. The whole process now has jeopardized the process. First of all, the vegetables or the roots of maize underground, when the fertilizer is put and comes down, They don't know that whoever put that fertilizer is either PF or UPND. The maize will just start growing. So there's that process of trying to change everything, and they are 1 year behind. Even the suppliers, they wanted to change them immediately, and you can't. Some people have stocks in the depots, and to start ordering, if you give the contract to supply fertilizer for Zambia for next season, even if they give you $1 billion, you will not deliver by next year, November. Because the fertilizer maybe comes from China or comes from Dubai. To put it on the ship, to bring it and finish the process, it's a 1 year lag period. So they try to change suppliers, they try to change the recipient in the process. They are in delay. And by now, only now they are working overtime to get the maize, but elsewhere get the fertilizer, but elsewhere it's a bit late. So they were late in paying, they were delaying. Remember I said they feel stingy to spend government money. They delayed in paying the farmers for their maize a few months ago, and now they are delaying in giving them the fertilizer. Ultimately, if they are not careful, for the first time, Doc, we haven't had food shortage in Zambia. We haven't had maize shortage. It's been bumper harvest since Levi Mwanawasa. We've had excess maize that we export. But this government, at this rate, we all hope for the best. And if they're not careful with that approach towards FISIP, we don't want food shortage. Then we end up with yellow maize, importing it.
As we are winding up, Director, do we have any last messages we can mop up so that we don't... good evening, Honorable SAMPA. I honestly know and feel you are the man for PF presidency. Unfortunately, the big fishers will fight you and will favor another person. You are the only one who can revive PF. Frederick Chavala, Big Fish, Matero constituency.
I don't know who is calling big fish. If I was he's trying to imply I'm a small fish. No, the good news is I'm also a big fish. So whoever thinks will fight me, if it's unfair, I'll fight them back. Even the Bible says, if someone slaps you, slap them. So it has to be a fair game. We'll fight in the ballot. People should put the vote, and the delegates in all the provinces and the constituencies will choose who they want, and we count. And whoever wins takes it. But if the so-called bigwig, no, I'm now also a bigwig. So if they slap me, I also slap them back. No, I'll make sure that it's a fair game.
We had another message from Ibenga. FISIP has been a shame to the UPND administration. Disappointing. Farmers cheaply cheated. Mwemba, Ibenga.
I think we answered that a short while.
Honorable SAMPA, kindly share more on ZESCO. Why this government introduced load shedding during rainy season? Why the previous government it used to reduce?
That's a good question. I love that question. It gives me an opportunity to answer. I saw the Minister of Energy, Kapala, saying, oh, now it started raining, so load shedding will reduce. He thinks when it rains, there's a downpour, then ZESCO power goes up. Do you know, when there's rainfall, it needs like 2 months for the water to accumulate everywhere and flow down to the Zambezi River and then flow down to Kariba. The whole process of rainfall is like 2 months lag period. So even if we have too much rain today, it doesn't mean that we'll have more electricity, because the water needs to get to Kariba, and to find its way it takes time. The government, I'm happy they are now seeing that running a government is not easy. And half the time, it's situations where it's a crisis situation. In America, you even have a situation room. You have to look at the situation and find solution. Unfortunately, our friends, their situation room is just a PF did this. It's unfortunate. They said they were going to plan and make sure that there's no shortage of ZESCO. But what they did, our friend, they are too quick to make money. Okay, they don't want to spend it. So they came quickly and signed contract to export power to Zimbabwe, to South Africa. There is this company for SADC where everyone can sell power and then they resell it to a country that needs it, and then they get money. And when you sign a contract, you sign 6 months contract, 1 year contract. So they signed a contract which they cannot terminate. So in the process, they make power, it has to go to Zimbabwe or South Africa. because they signed a contract. Meanwhile, the demand in Zambia has gone up. With this football and everything else, the demand has gone up. So they have no choice but to start load shedding. So it's poor planning, essentially. It comes down to poor planning. The Edgar Lungu government invested, the long-term solution is to invest in infrastructure, power generation, the Kafue Gorge, and it requires a lot of money, millions of dollars. Where do you get that money from? That's why the government would borrow and invest there. It's permanent structures. Otherwise, you tax people. Reminds me, Doc, they were attacking the PF government for borrowing over borrowing. When they come in, they said they won't borrow. Do you know what? Since the UPND came into power last 1 year, they've borrowed so much from abroad and domestic market. At this rate, in 10 years, they will overpass what PF borrowed. So themselves are busy borrowing. And the treasury bills and bonds, if you look at them, they're ever over borrowing and crowding out the private sector. That's why the private sector is all dying, because they're siphoning the money and even borrowing. So they're borrowing and borrowing. And so where they see, oh, if we sell power, make money, they're selling the power at the expense of the people. So ZESCO load shedding is poor planning by the current government.
As we wind up, how is Zambia going to be like under a SAMPA presidency? Because 2 presidents have been mayors before. And so far you are the only one who has been mayor, who's aspiring for presidency. And the laws of nature always repeat themselves. If it will be raining in January, it will rain even next year, January. So 2 presidents have been Lusaka mayors before. So yours is a destiny. So under a SAMPA presidency, how do you think Zambia is going to look like?
I was reading about Thomas Sankara. You know Thomas Sankara,
yes.
President of Burkina Faso. He was just there for 3 years. And in that 3 years, I was reading today the things he did. Massive. Simple things. I'll start from basics, which I already do. I will not be driving I'll first live like the people, which I'll be driving a Vitz, which I already drive. These people, they said they will give away the VX. You need to live lower to the people. They're still driving the same. They inherited the GX and VX they found from PF ministers, which they condemned. They just inherited. Now they drive in them, the ministers. And with them, I even feel sorry for them. Me, when I was deputy minister, I'm driving, people would clap, run to my car. These guys, they even close their windows. You know, you get a lot of information from Bakaponya. These people in the streets, window, you know, they hide. Me, I'm in opposition now. My drivers will tell you, wherever I go at the traffic lights, they rush to my car, they're happy to see me. So, because we relate with them. But as president, I'll be action, not talk. 1 year down the line, you would have seen a lot of difference, made impact in people's lives, and not just talk, and I'll punch and get things going, reprimand people. I would have fired ministers already, a lot of them by now. I would have fired DCs and replaced them if they're not working, and ministers, Bola Kuchinja, you know, action. And ultimately, what leaders are we if we don't touch a person's life, if we don't impact on their lives? So as president, just like I was mayor, you touch people's lives. But mayor, my hands were tied because I had a minister, had 0 powers. It's like they tell you, go and score a penalty at number 9, your legs are tied and your hands are tied, and the ball is there. So, but as president, you are the driver of the bus. You are not a conductor. So you make powers. I've had a chance in my life to make a difference in people's lives. What I never had was power and ability to get support. But now if you're president, you're in charge of the civil service, you're in charge of the finance minister, you're in charge of everyone. You get everything moving. So it's about impacting people's lives. And if I become president of Zambia, I wouldn't even overstay. I would just do 1 term, 5 years, make an impact. and then go and relax in the village, because they've made a difference to people's lives.
Thank you very much, Honorable SAMPA. And let's Honorable Njapa has something to say.
It's been a pleasure having you, Honorable.
It's been a pleasure having you. I'm sure that you know, this has been a very nice show. We've had a lot of you know, insights as to what you know, is happening in Parliament. Very few people. Okay, a lot of people are now following Parliament, but some of them don't follow. We have heard from people from you know, Chingola, Copper Belt. You know, we have heard about FISIP. I hope in Parliament you go and push that agenda for the people of Zambia so that they can get the FISIP out to empower our youth. I think in terms of empowerment, you are one of the pioneers. I remember your Matero cabs.
Metro cabs.
Metro cabs, yes.
And the female Mercedes-Benz taxis.
Taxis, yes.
I see others are doing it also.
Yes. So, I mean, you know better. I remember when you were Deputy Minister of Finance, through the National Economic Advisory Council, we did a research on youth empowerment. That even took me to Kenya. Actually, that's where I went and met Uhuru Kenyatta for the first time. He was Deputy Prime Minister. Okay. Yes, in that period. So there has been all that in terms of youth empowerment, and I hope that you're going to contribute that to you know, the people of the Republic of Zambia. Thank you very much for coming. You are watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. Today we had our host, Honorable SAMPA, politician, MP for Matero, former Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Finance, you know, founder and CEO of Boba TV.
I'm glad you remember that. And it's the only one that makes me proud. Do you know that I'm my own photographer, video camera, my own editor, and my own publisher? By the way, my wife would be sleeping. I'm busy editing and putting songs. No, we need to sleep.
Before we go, there's a place I normally see you go to, Cafe River. You know, I like that place. All right. Yes, you are always cooking. You know.
Yes. By Sondela there by the river. Yes. So I like cooking as well. You know, you're getting old when you're enjoying things like that. Yes. With the nature going out. Yeah. So
I hope you'll take me there one day.
Indeed. Yes. But I know you can cook well as well.
Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye-bye.